The Golden State Warriors have made a big move in free agency. It didn't take them long to find a replacement for one of the players we lost less than 24 hours after free agency began. Oh yeah, that's right. The Warriors got hit with a free agency barrage as other teams rushed to quickly snatch up the Warriors' bench players after their championship run. The first casualty was Juan Toscano Anderson, who was picked up by the Lakers with lightning quickness. This has happened so often it's become a tradition. The Warriors go on a run, the veterans in the backdrop play great, and the Lakers swoop in, promising the moon and the sun, and said player gets packing. While it wasn't that clear-cut with JTA, who was not given a qualifying offer by Golden State, the Lakers were happy to offer just below what would have been a qualifying offer from Golden State at $1.9 million to secure Juan Toscano for 2023. The next to go would be Gary Payton II, who went to the Trailblazers on a $28 million contract over 3 years. After being initially rumored to go to the Dallas Mavericks, Portland came out of nowhere to sign Payton for the big payday. Otto Porter Jr. was the third to go, and at this point, fans were worried because the Warriors supporting veteran players were getting snatched up like hot bread. Toronto signed Porter on a 2-year contract. Although the deal hasn't completely been released, the thought is that the first year is guaranteed. However, year 2 is not, so it may just be the veterans minimum, plus some added perks. Next up went Bjelica. The Warriors wanted to hold on to B, however he chose to play for Fenerbahce of the Turkish League in Europe on a 2-year deal. Hey, what's happening everyone? This is Swish. As you know, all these guys had provided some help to the Warriors during this run to the finals, especially Payton, Bjelica, and Porter Jr. The fact that they were given the offers they received comes as no surprise. With a looming extension of Jordan Poole, Andrew Wiggins, and then James Wiseman, who has yet to really get time on the court to prove himself, the Warriors' cash flow seems to be getting a bit tight, as they are already deep into the luxury tax bracket with additional salary to sign with their emerging talent. While Chase Center has been pulling a lot of weight, it still isn't infinite. Now, a lot of fans were disappointed that the Warriors allowed these players to get picked up. However, we have to remember that prior to the Warriors, these players barely had any value. Gary Payton II, for instance, was just barely able to get that 15th spot. Prior to that, he was on a 10-day contract. This means that it's not so much the players that are driving the success of the Warriors as it is the organization putting these guys in position to succeed. The one common denominator in all of these successes of Golden State still remains in Stephen Curry. Curry essentially immobilizes other teams' defenses by taking opposing players out of the game. This allows his teammates to thrive, and as long as they buy into the winning mentality of Golden State, they'll get to the light at the end of the tunnel. That doesn't mean the players themselves don't get any credit. They have to put the work in order to get things done, so credit where it's due. That said, none of the players the Warriors lost are irreplaceable. The toughest player the Warriors would have had to replace is Kavon Looney, the starting center for the franchise this past year. Looney has been available for every single game, staying healthy for the full year in somewhat surprising fashion. Not only was he available, but he put up some stellar performances, equaling records dating back to the mid-70s. The Warriors could not afford to lose him. Looney re-signed with the Warriors at $25 million for 3 years. So, what big move did the Warriors make in the free agency market? That big move was to acquire 6'4" guard Dante Divincenzo. Divincenzo, as some of you may be aware, initially played for the Milwaukee Bucks when he entered the league. Milwaukee drafted Divincenzo with the 17th pick in the 2018 NBA draft out of Villanova and had been a rotational piece for the team since then. While he didn't make the starting lineup, Divincenzo provided a significant boost to the Milwaukee Bucks second unit. Due to a severe ankle injury, Divincenzo didn't play in the Bucks playoff run in 2021. He finally recovered in December of 2021, 2 months prior to being traded to the Sacramento Kings in February of 2022, where he averaged 10 points per game, 3.6 assists, and 4.4 rebounds, 1.5 steals, 37% from 3, and 84% from the free throw line over 25 games. During 2020, he had the 3rd best defensive rating of any player in the league, with one of the 2 ahead of him being his own teammate, Giannis. Now, you might have figured that he was signed as a replacement for Gary Payton II, and you'd be right. At 6'4", Divincenzo is a high motor guard that can knock down threes and be a lockdown defender. These are the traits from Gary Payton that worked so well with the team and was the catalyst for Payton excelling. While Divincenzo does not have Payton's level of athleticism, he is still a very athletic player. The one knock on Divincenzo is his overall field goal percentage, which suffered at Sacramento, where he only hit 36% of the shots. However, his career overall saw him shoot 41% from the field. In case you didn't know, the spacing on the Kings is atrocious, and I'd wager that Divincenzo will improve statistically in the majority of categories. Divincenzo was actually a much better prospect than Gary Payton was when Payton arrived at the Dubs facility. Payton was a guy that bounced around the G League, and a year with the Dubs earned him a multi-year 8-figure payout. Divincenzo, on the other hand, was a first-round pick just outside of the lottery. Think about what the Warriors can do with this level of talent. He's got much better handling, finishing, and shooting than Payton, and in scenarios where the Warriors need him to do a bit more, such as an increased role in facilitating in the backcourt or outright scoring, he'll finish quite high on the boards. These are things that Payton struggled with, but are a natural part of Divincenzo's game. Teams just don't take these things into account when they're signing players away from the Warriors or allowing them to pick up certain quality talents. Allowing the Warriors to pick this kid up is a mistake the rest of the league will regret. In order to sign Divincenzo, the Warriors gave him a 2-year deal worth $9 million. At almost $4 on the dollar with the luxury tax, that actual amount will be closer to $40 million. Now imagine the amount the Dubs would have to pay Payton on a $28 million contract. We're looking at nearly $120 million over 3 years. That is superstar cash flow. While Divincenzo doesn't pop off the charts right now the same way Payton has in this past year's playoffs, he certainly has the capability to match what we were able to get from Gary Payton. The same way that the franchise put our now gone vets in position to succeed, Divincenzo will have that same opportunity. He's proven he can knock down the shots if left open, and he has the same level of hustle mentality that you will find in a player like JTA. He likes to get in the passing lanes and initiate fast breaks. Whenever I've watched him play on the Bucks, as admittedly I didn't see much of him on the Kings, he was always a player that I thought was a very tough competitor. I was always concerned about our matchup, as he's a matchup nightmare for so many players. He always seemed one step ahead. However, he wasn't really given the opportunity so many players get while on the Warriors. After his injury, he was involved in a 4-team trade that sent Ibaka to the Bucks. Believe it or not, this kid will absolutely thrive with Steve Kerr in Golden State. The fact that the Warriors picked him up gives me peace of mind in his replacement of Gary Payton in the rotation. This was an A+ pickup for the Warriors. And that's it for tonight. Thanks for watching. Till next time. Swish.
KD the shit cock, word I'm a player, the real player. I don't give a prayer, man, fuck a naysayer. I block so hard, sweetie get served. Call me Lonzo Ball, bitches get swerved.